Train by day, Kyle Wigginton podcast by night, all day.
Andrew Landry.
What's up, Kyle? Long time coming this is, huh?
YouTube channel Scare Mail.
That's right. That is correct. That is the channel.
I watched all your stuff. It's good stuff, man.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm
Some of my old stuff is I'm sure is probably hard to get through, but you know, the new stuff I'm really proud of.
We all start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Like even if you watch the first, I think the first podcast to this, we didn't even have video yet.
Yeah, no, that's true. So that usually happens. I mean, when I first started Scare Mail, I was editing on my phone, you know? So,
really?
Yeah, I downloaded CapCut onto my phone, and that's where I did my editing. And I was like, all right, I need to up my game a bit. And, you know, went from there, you know, and here we are almost 1 year later to the day, almost.
Seriously?
Yeah, almost. So it'll be like on the I think March 20th is when I started.
But I mean, that just shows like, if you really want to do something, you'll do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, it was something that led to that time was I'd worked in film for like a decade, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you work all these jobs. I wish I would have started it sooner. I wish I could have started in college. You know, I graduated in, what was it, 2018? I really wish I could have started it then because I got swept away by the movie industry, and you know, I thought that was going to be my life. You know, I thought that was the next big thing, and thought I was going to be a famous screenwriter and producer.
What were you doing for the industry? Were you?
I was a production assistant.
Okay.
I started on. I got really lucky. Funny enough, in college, I was. They reached out to me about. I was in a film class, and my professor came in one day. He's like, "Oh, you know, you can apply to this movie if you want to be an intern on it. That's filming here in Baton Rouge." And you know, when you hear about a movie in Baton Rouge, you're like, "This is gonna be like some B film, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like about nothing." You know, it's gonna be like a really crappy Hallmark movie, if anything. Like that would be the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
Went ahead and applied, and it turns out, you know, I get an interview, right? It's funny that the production coordinator on that movie, Kim, she was a literal badass. We did I walked in for the interview that one day, and she's like cursing someone out on the phone when I'm walking in. Like, isn't that's the worst thing you want to hear when you're going into, you know, it's a new environment, you know, film is probably cutthroat. You just hear the production coordinator digging into someone on the phone, literally cursing him out.
Yeah, dude, well, assistant directors and production coordinators, they're hardcore.
Yeah, no, it was no joke. So that was my baptism. And so I sat and I think she was a little bit, oh, I'm so sorry about that. I think she was a little bit embarrassed. I was like, that was kind of badass. Like that was insane. Like that was crazy. And
She's like, you got the job.
Yeah. She was like, I can't believe you reacted like that. You know, so lucky enough, I did get the job. And she was like, well, before I got the job, she was like, do you know what this movie is? And I was like, oh no, you know, I heard it was just, you know, a movie being filmed here in Baton Rouge. She's like, oh, it's with Tom Hanks. It's called Greyhound. It's about a World War II battleship. And I was just like, Tom Hanks, like, are you serious? Like here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, like what are the chances of that? And got on as an intern on that.
Why would they film that in Baton Rouge? Because the tax incentives?
There was a battleship.
Oh, there's a battleship there. Okay.
Yeah, down in Baton Rouge. And that's where we filmed everything. It was really cool. What a cool experience. I got to be on set. I got to be in the office. Like I really got to see the ins and outs of the film industry.
Wait, a battleship. That's fucking dope.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was really cool. And then we had at Celtic Studios up in Baton Rouge too. It's you know, they built like the interior of a fake ship essentially.
Yeah.
And we were on set a lot, which was also really cool. They built this big, huge gimbal to shake and jitter. It's like essentially they built the interior of the boat with a huge gimbal to simulate the shaking and the rocking of the waves. And God, it was really neat. And man, I thought, you know, that was the beginning of something new and something great. And oh, how naive I was because
I mean, why do you think that? Like you got some on-set experience. You gotta make your own stuff, right?
Yeah, well, you think you could, but the amount of assets and money and connections you need to utilize to actually get things made is pretty substantial. You know, you can't
Clearly
just...
you don't know much about me.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I'm sure you Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you educate me?
We just released Amityville NATO.
No way.
Yeah, it's a feature film we shot here in New Orleans.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean it's possible. You just have to have the right people around you that have the right skills.
Yeah, no, I'd say that's very true. And utilize
now that you know us.
Yeah.
If you have some awesome ideas, dude. Fuck it.
Fuck yeah. Well, obviously I'm in the horror genre, so I'd love to dip my toes into that, man. Whatever. We'll have to talk about that. We'll have to do another podcast about that.
Well, we can talk about that one off the podcast. But,
yeah, right.
So like, I'm a huge fan of conspiracies.
Yeah.
Okay. What if you wrote a screenplay that combined all the conspiracies together? Wouldn't that be fucking dope?
Oh, dude.
Would it be possible?
I've had so many ideas. What's crazy is that, you know, you don't want to lose an audience. And even this new scare mail that I'm working on is like, I think we talked about it briefly about, I guess I'll go into briefly about it. So apparently at CERN, where the Large Hadron Collider is in Switzerland, an accredited scientist, Astrid Stuckelberger, who has been cited in thousands of studies, but she's worked in, you know, genetics, biology, stuff like that.
Do you know this person, or did you just read some stuff?
I read some stuff about her. I watched an interview with her. She seems very bright, but the thing she says is, you know, it's almost hard to believe. But at this point, you know, I think it's interesting because she's saying that there's wormholes, that CERN accidentally opened up wormholes underneath CERN, and that these interdimensional beings are coming in from these portals, and they're like, "What are y'all doing?" It's almost like we open the door. They're like, while they're on the toilet, they're like, "What are you doing?" Like we have to fix all this. Look what you broke.
Well,
you
they're not mean though, right? They're nice.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to look more into it, and it's hard to make an episode about something that, you know, you don't have all the information, right? And
how would they? Did you like look into the science behind what she's saying?
Yeah, well, because you know they do. There's 50 to 60 collisions a day when they use the Large Hadron Collider, but they're simulating like hundreds of millions. They're like throwing hundreds of millions at each other.
It's just like it's particles, right?
Right. And only 50 or 60 collide.
How would that open up a wormhole though?
You know, that is a really good question. I'm trying to figure out myself, you know, but I think it's interesting. And she lives in Geneva.
So she still lives there, even though these beings are coming through?
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's what makes me a little skeptical because, you know,
if I saw fucking beings coming out of the portal in the bathroom right here, I'm out.
Yeah. And I was watching like a documentary about CERN from like a year ago, and everyone seems pretty happy and normal. You know, if I was going to work every day knowing that there was like monsters in my basement at my job, I'd be like, I got to start brushing up my resume or just quit. No 2-week notice, nothing. Just get out of there.
What if they're all inhabited by these monsters now?
Oh, she also said something really interesting, which almost, you know, it's unfortunate. I wouldn't say, you know, I don't know this person that well, right? Yeah. They seem very bright. Their resume speaks for themselves. She said it herself. Her resume.
She actually works for CERN, or
no? But she's close with people that work there.
Okay.
You know, living in Switzerland, and she was stating that it's just really, really bizarre because she had mentioned, where was I going with this? I just mentioned that she works. You had mentioned that she knows people there. Well, I'd mentioned that she knows people there.
Yeah, I was wondering if she worked there, or if like these creatures are inhabiting the humans that are there.
Oh yeah, that's where I was going. She had like mentioned, like, I don't want to discredit her, but she had mentioned that like she said Nazis had taken over CERN. Like, this is almost too hard to believe. Like, right? Like, what is this? Like Captain America, you know, the Winter Soldier, where like Hydra takes over the Shield, or like it's like what are we like? Maybe time did break because this is just too hard to believe, right? Like I look at all these scary stories, right? And I don't believe every scary story I look into.
Well, I mean, that like brings her into question now. If she's saying stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
I mean, what if she's right?
That's the thing. It's like, I want to keep an open mind because, you know, the more I look into this stuff, the shit crazier, the the crazier shit seems to be like, and so I don't want to discredit it, but I definitely don't believe every story I look into, especially all these scary stories, all these mysteries.
We don't have to believe them, but you can entertain the ideas.
That's what I do. I like to entertain. I like to dive into it. I'm like, maybe this is, but I'm not sure, but I'm going to leave that up to you. It's more about starting the conversation for me.
Yeah.
I don't want to finish it.
So we got into an argument here on Friday at the bar.
Oh.
And I was basically positing an alternative history. And there was two people in the bar that did not like they couldn't even entertain the thought of an alternate history.
Mm-hmm.
So they ended up getting angry at me. And I'm like, why? How can you not even like hold this like thought in your head and just let me finish my sentence?
Yeah. No, I mean, some people are so closed off to the idea that, maybe like in the MCU, it's weird. That's the second time I've referenced Marvel. Maybe they're onto something. The sacred
Multiverse.
timeline, the multiverse.
Yeah.
Like maybe they're onto something because, fiction is almost derived from reality, and yet reality is based off fiction sometimes. So I think there's maybe like some correlation between that, and maybe there is something to it because, these ideas have been around for, since the 60s about, like interdimensional stuff.
Bro, they've been around longer than that. The Vedas talk about this kind of stuff.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So, I mean, they've been around for thousands of years.
Yeah, that's true. So, I mean, maybe, and when it comes to scientists, right, and we could criticize Astrid, Dr. Astrid. I guess I should refer to her professional name.
I mean, just because you have a DR in front of your name doesn't mean you know shit.
That's true. But, at the end of the day, I refer to scientists, but scientists have come very closed off. The part of being a scientist was, not scrutinizing. You look at every major scientist in history, and they were always scrutinized for what they believed until they were proven right. And a lot of times when they were proven right, it was after they were dead. So, why are scientists why have they become so closed off? Right.
Money.
Right. And protecting their field and their field of study. And
yeah, I mean, we're not even going by the scientific method anymore. When people say this is true, it's like, well, no, it's not true. That's not the scientific method. Like nothing is true. Everything can be proven false,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the people that control the money these days. Like I know a lot of people that want to do research on psychedelic type stuff, but they can't get funding for it because they're not paying for this.
Yeah.
Because like if people actually took these psychedelics, it would cure them.
Mm-hmm.
And Big Pharma, who's actually fronting the bill on their research, doesn't want to cure anybody.
Right.
They just want to kick the can on down the road. And I think the same thing with all these other scientists too. Like they're having to keep a closed mind, even though they may know more. But it's like, we can't really publish this stuff because they'll take our funding away. It's such a weird world.
And what a shame that is that, money dominates our lifestyle, right? It dominates our world. And I think that's, we've put ourselves in a box, humanity, at least, especially the United States, I feel we've put ourselves into a box of this is the way things are. There's no need to learn anything new. And of course there are exceptions, obviously. Even with NASA, I'm disappointed in NASA because, they, as all the good things NASA does, they have been proven to censor things and to go against their own statements, which is in the search of discovery. And it seems like they're very closed off to the possibility of anything else. Like I think there's a lot about dark matter that they know that they're not revealing. And and the moon. Don't even get me started on the moon, man.
Yeah.
The moon is
it made out of cheese?
I don't know what it's made out of, man. I think there's something going on the moon. I think, and because there have been images that have come out with like monoliths, buildings on the moon, and they get blurred out. Like you'll see, they'll have a before and after. They're like, this was it before. Now this is it after, the International Space Station, you capture things on, they see things flying by on their live feed and they'll cut it loose. They'll cut the feed and I think they just established the way things are. And I don't think they want to push anything else because NASA's funding is dependent on them being the front line to everything. If there was something else out there that was possibly even more sophisticated than us, better technology, then why are we investing so much into antiquated technology? You can go about Boeing or, anything else, right? Lockheed Martin, I think who's to say they don't have black ops programs where they are developing,
like anti-grav stuff.
Oh yeah. Reverse engineered.
That's a good point. Like, why would Elon Musk be trying to catch rockets if he knew that anti-gravity type shit existed?
Right.
I think that you do a lot of videos on the UAPs.
Yeah.
What is it? What's the words?
Unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Unidentified aerial phenomenon. Say
or anomalous. I think it can go. It's either okay. Or.
Well, I think that they could be ours. Okay.
Yeah.
But if they are ours, then why are we not using that technology for other things?
Yeah.
Like, why are we not out? Because I think aren't the astronauts still on the space station that got trapped there?
Right.
So, like, why have we not already picked these guys up with that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Well, if they are drones, they could be advanced drones, but maybe they're not built for space. But I think there's a little bit of both things going on right now. I think these orbs are there and prevalent. I think the drones are also there, possibly to intercept them. Obviously, I've only seen from the footage.
Mm-hmm.
The statements, the disclosure movement, I'm starting to believe is a huge hoax, maybe to bolster people's agendas. We've learned nothing new. It was really swept under the rug quickly. So,
what about the pilots that see these things, that fly all the time, but
they still claim that they see things all the time. Sometimes they post videos that are very concrete. People come and try to debunk it. Which is a shame because they're in the skies more than anybody.
Yeah.
And they claim to see things all the time. So, I think, and we were supposed to have a reveal, these disclosure movements. Sadly, they just had a closed door meeting on, we're going to talk about the JFK assassination. We're going to talk about UAPs. And I think there was also another subject matter, but UAPs did not even reach that docket. It was just the JFK murders and the other thing.
Like Epstein or something?
The Epstein files. Yeah. And it was not, and unfortunately it was not the UAP. So, I think all the secrecy is a little damning.
Absolutely,
I think there is something there. I think we're perceived crazy for thinking that there is something there, but I think it's crazy the fact that they constantly dismiss it. I'm like, okay, this is very suspicious.
Well, with all that stuff, dude, that's a whole bag of worms there with the UAPs, with Epstein, with JFK. Like, there's so many things that have happened in American history that it's all just like toss up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, whenever someone can't entertain an alternate history, it's like you don't even know your own fucking history.
Right.
Like, we literally have no idea how these things happen, and we're just kind of going with the flow.
Right. Yeah. I mean, no one wants to accept that the world is different than what they've already believed it to be. And I think that's where humanity is at the moment, especially our country, that this is the way things are. There's no need to change because those who are in charge and those who are making money, it's not in their best interest to reveal any of these things, like, why are we riding planes that were developed 100 years ago? Like the Wright brothers, like that, we're still using that technology, and
I mean, we've advanced a little bit, right?
Yeah. Up until about the 60s. And then it's kind of stagnated. And, obviously military jets probably are better, but like in terms of like, an Airbus, a Boeing jetliner, those were around, 60s, 70s, this is like, that's nothing new. We're using, sometimes you go to the airport, you hop on a flight, your plane's from the 80s, that's.
Yeah. I have to say that I'm not really mad at that because that's one reason I like Toyotas, because when Toyota comes out with a vehicle, they ride on that model until they get it all finessed.
Right.
So whenever they get all the kinks out of that, then they switch over to a new model.
Yeah.
So if you get like the end of the Toyota Tundras before they switch over to a new model, you get like that vehicle will last you forever.
Yeah.
So hopefully they're doing the same thing with the planes.
Yeah.
where they're kind of like, they have it all finessed out. And they're like, okay, it runs perfect. We know exactly how this thing works. We got all the kinks lined out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay if that's the case.
Well, the problem with that is that Boeing has kind of gone off the deep end in terms of their quality assurance. They've laid off a lot of their high quality engineers and
for the DEI stuff, right?
Right. Well, I don't know if it's just DEI. I think just over time they moved their headquarters out of Seattle. I think which is where they developed their planes. They became really corporatized. They're not their safety regulations are not what they were. So I think that's where that we heard about that Boeing whistleblower dying. I don't know if it was ever revealed the cause of death, but it was very suspicious. Because he came out and he was like, look, Boeing is brushing this all over the rug. Like, these planes are no longer safe. Like, regulations have been, lessened, and now things are starting to show through the cracks. Like, these planes are not safe. Like, you're going to start seeing a lot more, accidents and malfunctions. And look, just this year, I'm not saying it's just the FAA. I think the planes are, engines are blowing up in the sky, and so it's unfortunate because this is what and shitification, right? This is what that term that
Shitification?
and shitification that people created, that over time, regulations become laxed. Companies that did have a successful product will start making it lazier, worse. There's less money into it to cut costs.
Have you ever seen how their business structure actually is?
Oh, I mean, I'm sure it's so grand. And
well, they always say that they're not making any money.
That's almost hard to believe because they have contracts with the government.
So the way that like Delta and them make their money is they have those like frequent flyer programs.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the same way Starbucks does. So Starbucks has these gift cards that you can buy. So they just put money on the gift cards and you go in there and you spend the money. So basically you're only spending points. You're not actually spending dollars.
Yeah.
So if you buy these gift cards, they can literally take this money and they become their own bank. And then you're literally just spending points to buy air tickets or to buy upgrades and things like this. And they've noticed that at Starbucks, not the same way with the airlines, but they noticed at Starbucks that there's so much money that goes in these gift cards that goes unused.
Yeah.
So they're basically getting free money every year. And then they're writing it off and saying they're not making any money because they're not showing any profits because they don't have to turn that in. Just a gift card.
Yeah. No, that is
So when we bail these airlines out, think about that next time.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like it's a Ponzi scheme it's I'd say it's
greed.
Disappointing. It is very much so greed. And that's why I saw like a YouTube video of like one guy inspecting like a Boeing, and he's like, look, like all these screws are loose. Like these aren't fastened. Like this is not safe. Like people are going to be boarding this plane, like, and they're going to assume that they're going to have a safe travel, and like, they're going to be in danger, and then they got litigated. So like, how hard is it to just keep the standard up and not sue people? If you can't innovate, litigate. That's what I think I used in a TikTok not too long ago. But like, that's essentially what companies are doing now. They're no longer innovating. They're sitting on what they have. They're letting it degrade over time. They're cutting costs. They're making it even worse. And when they're called out about it or they're sued for it, well, they lawyer up and, they make sure it goes away. So I think we're stagnating ourselves in terms of our innovation. I think.
Yeah, that's the issue with capitalism.
Right.
Like I love capitalism. It's great for growth,
mm-hmm.
but at a certain point, the companies just need to keep growing.
Yeah.
So they stop taking risk and stop innovating,
mm-hmm.
and they just keep like trying to gain more profits. So they end up cutting the margins and just trying to get more money for their shareholders.
Well, yeah. I mean, it is is investing in new propulsion, energy-based propulsions profitable? Probably not, right? I mean, we're talking about new research. We're talking about something that potentially doesn't run on oil. I don't think there's a lot more into it than we're being told. And unfortunately, we're starting to see the ramifications of it in modern day. These drones, when they first came about, it was revealed that they're like 20, 50 years ahead of us. What are we going to do? We can't shoot them down. Everything we throw at them doesn't work. It's like, well, if that's the case, then that's our fault, because we have sat on our hands for half a century with old technology, enriching people for their old technology, keeping the powers that be in power instead of letting capitalism do its job. Capitalism can be good for competition, right? Because it inspires innovation and it brings about competition. But the problem is that that's not the case anymore. Is that new up and coming companies are either litigated to death or they're bought.
Yeah, there's no way you can break in and take Amazon's business.
No.
Like they're just going to buy you out if you actually do come up with a great business plan.
Right. Exactly. Or if you come on a way to even do better, so.
But I mean, we do have a lot of money going into black budget projects every year. So do you think that could be, where all this mysterious money is vanishing to?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean,
you think these could be ours, these drones?
I'd say so. I'd say it's very plausible that they are ours. The problem is that, what are they doing? Why are they flying around military institutions? The military personnel don't even know why they're there. And they are claiming, they are saying like, oh, we can't shoot them down. It's like, okay, so are they came out and said they're ours, but that might be to save face, to look less stupid, right? Mm-hmm. Like, oh, they're ours. Don't worry. Like, it's like,
yeah, keep the public.
They better be ours.
Yeah,
they better be ours. Because if y'all can't do anything about it,
people go crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the military might of the United States of America. Can you imagine United States falling behind number 4, number 5? It's like it turns out our technology is old, and other countries that were behind have caught up using their innovation. Like whether it's reverse engineered alien technology or they're just allowing progress to continue instead of trying to stagnate it. It's like, whoa. This won't be profitable for us. This is almost renewable energy, free energy. Like, like we can't have this, like, cause all of our economy essentially depends on oil. Like that's what we're built on. And almost all of our vehicles, our technology has to run on some kind of, coal or oil.
You think that's why empires fall?
Well, yeah,
because hubris. They stop innovating, and then people around them keep innovating, and they just kind of take over.
Hubris, yeah. I mean, look at Rome. What happened to Rome? I mean, we're seeing, and luckily for the United States is that we are set up pretty well. We're not like Rome.
Defensively,
right? Rome was surrounded by, that's why Rome was expanding so much, because they were surrounded by competition. They were surrounded by other empires. But we're not. And yet here we are. The United States is trying to make enemies out of Canada out of nowhere. I don't know where that came from. All of a sudden wanting to make Canada the 51st state. That's like 50 years of diplomacy down the drain with that. Holy cow.
Well, so that because someone was telling me this about tariffs the other day, because they were talking about the tariffs that we're putting on them.
Right.
Canada actually tariffs us like 230 something % on, I think, eggs and milk.
Yeah.
So if we buy eggs and milk from them, we're paying 230 something % above what the actual cost was. And that's before we even did our tariffs.
Wow.
Yeah. So they tariff a bunch of stuff on us that we
how
don't
many eggs do we actually get from them?
I don't know.
Yeah. It can't be, because I feel like we have way more farmland than them.
I couldn't answer that, but I do know that they do have a lot. They had tariffs on us before we ever even implemented our tariffs.
Yeah.
And it was now, like crazy amounts.
And now we're in a tariff war, and now they're saying fentanyl comes from Canada, which I don't think anyone's ever gotten
easier to cross the border there, right?
Huh?
It's because it's easier to cross the border. It's like they're flying it in from other countries and then crossing the border on Canada. Isn't that what they're saying?
I think I saw an article recently that was like way more drugs flow into Canada from the US than Canada from the United States. But you never know with what you read anymore. But I'm what benefit does fentanyl give anybody? It's less product, like less actual cocaine. So it's like, is it like filler? Like, why do we need fentanyl? Where is fentanyl coming from?
Yeah, I guess it's just extra filler for them.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a medicine they use in ERs and stuff.
Right.
So it is a painkiller.
Yeah, but you're potentially killing your clientele.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make a lot of sense if you're a good drug dealer.
Yeah, right.
But I guess if you're a bad one.
Yeah. Hoping for one-time sales. I mean, it's just crazy.
I mean, the whole drug thing, I have like weird stances on drugs. I think they should all be legal.
I'm actually not too opposed. I think they should be regulated and taxed.
Regulated, taxed, and be legal. So, you know, if I'm going to go buy cocaine, all I could do is walk down to the store and buy some cocaine. Right. Yes, I'll be on file for buying cocaine, but at the same time, I'm getting the good stuff.
Yeah, I know it's not compromised.
Yeah, and I'm a grown adult. I should be able to buy and do what I want to do, right?
Well, that's what they say our country is. You know, we are free and able to do whatever we want. And we have a lot more restrictions than I'd say, many other places on the planet, at least, in terms of financially, we are definitely burdened financially. It's almost like we are indentured servants, low pay. I think this is how America was sculpted ever since, the Ronald Reagan years. I feel like something happened then. The middle class was so strong. You had everyone had houses. You worked one job, you made like $60,000 a year, but that was a lot of money back then. And
yeah, because the house was like 80.
Yeah, and
was that when we switched off the gold standard?
I'm not entirely sure, but something after that, things changed, and then ever since then, it was just downhill. The middle class slowly withered away. And now it's essentially reduced to nothing. We're working jobs that barely pay us anything. We can't afford houses. I can't afford a house. And I don't think it's going to get any better. I think it was like a big con or something like that, where they flipped a switch and they were able to essentially put the rich in power that like forever.
Well, that is an issue right there. Congress, the fact that we don't have any term limits on Congress members.
Yeah, I think that's ridiculous.
It's fucking crazy.
We have the oldest people that are just out of touch.
Making legislation for young people that actually know how to work the system better than they do.
Right.
But they've been inside of the system for so long that they've learned how to use all the loopholes.
Right.
So now they're just like sitting on millions of dollars that they've manipulated the markets to get, or took kickbacks from giving money to foreign entities. And then I think I saw a thing the other day, and once again, like you said, you don't really know what you're reading anymore if it's true or not.
Yeah.
But all the money that Ukraine kicked back to Democratic politicians, fucking insane, man. If it's true,
really? Wow.
It's crazy. It's millions of dollars.
I read that it wasn't money that was given. Sorry. Money that was given to Ukraine. It was assets, old military assets that we essentially no longer used. Right. Like it was, we're essentially cleaning out our closet, giving it to Ukraine, pretty much all of our old stuff. But that would imply that we have new stuff that's way better. And apparently if we can't shoot down drones above our own heads, then, how much better is it? So,
I mean, we said we're giving them old stuff, but literally we were there flying drones.
Yeah.
So we were drone bombing Russian soldiers. Like I actually saw U.S. soldiers there flying drones, bombing them. So, I mean, we just said that so we would look like we weren't actually trying to fight a war.
Yeah.
But it's a proxy war. Like literally right now, the U.S. is funding Ukraine fighting Russia.
Right.
And like we're trying to back out of it now, obviously, because we got a new president in there. And he's not for the war game, which I'm for that. I hate war. Yeah. War's so stupid.
Right.
Like even if we go to war with someone like China, because, they have every like so many hundreds of years or maybe like 60 years, I forget what it is, but there's like a power switch, right?
Yeah.
So right now we're going through that power struggle, and it looks like China is going to be the next one that's on top. But right now we're resisting.
Yeah.
And typically there's a war whenever the power regime changes.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if we go to war in this day and age, it's going to end bad.
Well, yeah, I'm with you. But I'm not so sure Trump's an anti-war president, because now he's saying this stuff about Greenland. He's like, he wants Greenland. He wants Canada. I don't know. I think he's just focusing his attention to different. Why would
he try to expand in all these places?
I have no idea. I don't know what, it's almost like.
That's what got Rome too, right? They just kept trying to expand.
Yeah. And they spread themselves too thin. I'm not saying, Germany, when they, in World War II, when they expanded across, Europe, those soldiers felt that they were going to be fighting until they were dead, that there was no end in sight. And that became a restlessness. Obviously the U.S. isn't in on troops on the ground kind of war like that. And yet we're trying to expand, and I'm not so sure why. I know there's a minerals trade they want to get with Ukraine. They want minerals. That's why they want Greenland, because Greenland is very mineral rich. Canada, I think they just want, I don't know what they want with Canada. I don't know. I mean,
more defense. It's another shield for us to be on. Like right now, we don't really know what they're doing. It's like they could let Russia come in and like march through if they wanted to, or let China come through. But if like we actually control the entire country.
Canada's a part of NATO though. So if Russia would try to do that, then that's a war on NATO, and then all of Europe would be at war with Russia. And that's why NATO is such a big part of this. And we want to pull out of NATO to let them fight the war themselves that they think is coming. Russia trying to move across Europe.
So if we pull out of NATO, then does that make us an enemy of NATO? So then Canada technically could let Russia come marching on through.
Yeah, I mean, that would be crazy, because that would almost be suicide for them, but they could. The problem is that, we were funding NATO. We were the main people in NATO. But like that gave us leverage over all of them. That gave us, we were dad at the table, at the dinner table. Right. And now we're like looking at our kids. We're like, y'all need to start paying for your own bills. I'm, want to retire, cause I don't know if we can compare it to retiring, but we're stepping away, and now they're all starting to step up, and they're like, look, they all just met with Zelensky, the members of NATO, European leaders, and they were like, we're going to have to fight this war themselves. Like that was they are expecting a massive war all across Europe, like against Russia. It's essentially going to be NATO versus Russia, like, because it's not going to stop with Ukraine. Like Ukraine is just the beginning. Poland's starting to mobilize.
Why do you think that? Why do you think? I feel like Putin just wants to get NATO bases out of Ukraine.
Oh, I don't think so. I think
he wants to take over the world.
I don't know, man. I wouldn't trust that guy at all. He was a KGB operative, I think.
Dude, I've seen him do some pretty fucking dope shit. Like I don't see the bad in this guy. I understand he like never has an expression on his face. Mm-hmm. He's very stoic. But I saw him one time in a business meeting. There were a lot of factories that had people out of work. So he goes into this business meeting, and all these guys, these rich guys that own these factories, they're there, and he's like, look, I made an agreement. Everyone sign it. And he looked at the paper, and he's like, why didn't you sign it? And looked at one of the guys. He pulls his pen out and hands it to the guy and makes him sign the paper so they could get all the people back to work. So that was his whole thing. He's like, let's get people back to work because people are starving out there on the street. And then after the guy signed it, he's like, now give me my pen back. And I'm like, that's so fucking dope, dude. He took action in this problem where all these fucking rich guys were just bickering about making more money. Mm-hmm. So I mean, he did something good for the people. Like I'm sure he does.
What were the terms? What did they have to sign?
Well, I don't know. He was making it like equal, right? So like they were all bickering about getting more of the profits or something like that. I don't really know what it was, but the fact that he told them, get back to work. Like This is, you guys are just bickering while people are out there starving.
Well, I guess I would have to see what the terms were. At the end of the day, he has proven himself to be a dictator. They don't hold real elections. They're fake elections where the opposition, he gets 99% of the votes. So
it's like Congress.
Well, also with Ukraine, before he was even in power, this was like, I think 30 years ago, Ukraine and Russia decided to, Ukraine decided to hand over their nuclear assets. They're like, look, we're denuclearizing as long as you don't invade us.
Well, no, it wasn't just Russia. They made the deal with the United States and Russia.
Right.
Yeah. So that was the deal.
Yeah. And now we're letting them be invaded.
We're not letting them be invaded. We were putting up bases in Ukraine, and Russia said, I don't like this. Take the bases out or we're going to invade. And this is why they're invading right now. It's the same thing as if China come over here and started putting bases on Mexico border, or on Canada border, we would have an issue with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think?
I mean, yeah, but they don't have quite a reach like the American military does, like in all those European nations, because we have those agreements because we're usually in NATO. That's why Trump wants to pull all of our troops out of Europe and do no more European military exercises with them because we're trying to be completely hands off.
I did see where Zelensky went and met with, was it UK?
European leaders.
You know, and I'm kind of fed up with the UK too, because now they'll arrest Americans for posting on social medias.
Yeah, no, that's pretty crazy. I mean,
so if you post something crazy on social media and you go to UK, they'll arrest you for it. So fuck those guys.
Yeah, I mean but they've had freedom of speech, so that's pretty wild. I'd have to look into that because
they're arresting all kinds of people right now in UK for posting stuff on social media, and it's just like someone posted song lyrics because one of their friends died, and they arrested this person for posting song lyrics because it went against the rules.
That's wild.
Yeah,
I'd have to read more about that, because I wouldn't say a human. We have freedom of speech, we supposedly do.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want to on here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, until YouTube censors it. They're going to see all the Russia talk and they'll be like, drones, Russia, or mute.
I feel like you can say anything you want to these days besides stuff about Jewish people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where you get flagged.
Israel. Yeah.
Israel,
Don't want to bring that up.
Yeah, what a weird fucking place, man.
Yeah. And what about Gaza? Why does Trump want to remake the Gaza Strip? Is that us overbearing?
I was kind of thinking about that too. I feel like he is just placating to Israel right now, but I think he actually has like an ace up his sleeve to get out of that conflict as well. Yeah, I could be giving him too much credit.
Yeah, well, he posted like an AI video. I use AI for my videos, but I'm retelling scary stories. He and Netanyahu hanging out on a beach in the Gaza Strip. It's like, what?
It's like a theme park or something, wasn't it?
These interdimensional beings trying to fix our timeline. I get it now. Like, this is wild.
It's going haywire, dude.
This is almost fiction. This is like the new Captain America movie, which I haven't seen yet. But it probably did not do so well because real life is just way crazier right now than what's going on in the movie theaters. Like, this is actually nuts. Like,
that's why I kind of wonder if he's actually going to do that. If he's just not just like.
They said they would do it. Obviously, I think it's good for Israel to have someone else be the bad guys. Oh, look, it's the United States who's coming in and seizing Gaza, not us, So like, I don't know, man. This is all
like,
weird.
What if the U.S. gets in there and then says, "Okay, Israel, back the fuck up"?
That would never happen. No U.S. leader has ever stood up to Israel. I don't think any leader. I don't know what Israel has on the planet, but no one, whether they're Democrat or Republican, has ever stood up to Israel. So I will never know why, I guess.
Well, it's the Epstein thing.
There's no way it goes that deep.
So Epstein was supposedly, or allegedly, I should say, Epstein was working with Israel, and it was a big blackmail operation. So all these politicians were coming out to his island, and he was filming them doing things with young girls or whatever he was doing, and then he was holding the tapes over their head like blackmail. But I don't think Trump has a tape being held over his head. So
are you sure he was very close with Epstein? Yeah,
they were close, but I think it was a Melania thing. Like, I think Melania might have been in the trade before Trump swooped her up and married her. So I think she was like letting him know, you don't need to really hang out with this guy that much. Once again, I don't know, but I feel like
because they even have pictures of Melania, and then
you take Epstein a picture together, but I mean, like, what does that mean?
I mean, they were at parties together. You can infer, that they were.
Well, how Hollywood works. You go to a party and they're like, "Hey, take a picture with each other."
Yeah, I'm sure that's true, but it's also like, I don't know. I wouldn't, with the Stormy Daniels thing and Trump, I wouldn't put it above Trump to not mess around in a nefarious way.
What was it that he did with her? What was the Stormy Daniels thing again?
Well, he cheated on his wife and he had sex with a prostitute, and he tried to keep her quiet. And when he was running for election the first time, she came out and she was like, "This guy raped me," or something like that. I don't know if it goes that deep, but how
much did he pay her?
I don't know, but it was, he definitely gave her hush money. Yeah. So,
feel like he learned his lesson there. Pull a Hillary Clinton on her next time.
Yeah, I don't know.
Offer.
With these people, I don't know if they ever learn their lesson. I'm not talking about Republican, Democrat. I'm talking about people in power, the rich, the ultra wealthy.
Yeah, they're disconnected.
They're completely disconnected. I don't think they've ever had to answer for anything they've actually ever done. So why learn from your mistakes? Because you can wiggle your way out of the courts. You can hire the greatest lawyers to reduce, the ramifications of your actions. So why learn from your mistakes? Because you almost like a spoiled child, like you're doing nothing wrong. Everything's okay.
Yeah.
You're going back to normal life and everyone's going to forget about this in a week. And for more often than not, that happens. So
no, you're right. It does piss me off a little bit when I see all these wealthy people that never even get a slap on the wrist for doing crazy ass shit.
This is what America is. It is. We almost have a different justice system than they do.
Yeah.
And that's like, Trump can miss court, dodge the courts for a month. We can't. Like we'd have the sheriff at our front door bringing us to jail. But, it's different for them. It's just different for them. It really is.
Even the whole COVID situation, like that was just fucking bonkers too. The fact that, you have Nancy Pelosi out eating in restaurants with no mask on, yet she's yelling, put a fucking mask on to everyone. Oh, yeah. And she's like, it doesn't.
Well, everything is optics with them.
Yeah.
If the cameras are around, they want to be seen. They're doing their part. But at the end of the day, they don't do anything for us. They don't do anything for the working class. They want to make it because they're bought and paid for too. Mm-hmm. The Democratic Party.
There's a little something called AIPAC. Are you familiar with AIPAC?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah. And what's funny about AIPAC is, and this is Americans for Israel. It's their lobbyist group.
Right.
They're not even filed as a lobbyist group.
Yeah.
So we can't even see like where their money's going and stuff. They can do it all in secret because supposedly it's not for Israel. Mm-hmm. It's Americans for Israel.
Yeah.
It's all just like it's all just in the words,
Mm-hmm.
It's
loopholes.
Loopholes. Yeah. That's what it is. It's so crazy.
And I would bet money, AIPAC money, since it wouldn't be my money. I would bet their money that they're paying everybody.
Absolutely.
Everybody. Literally both sides of the aisle. And that's like this illusion. And, this is what's so frustrating about modern day politics, especially here in the United States. It's like red team versus blue team, and they all just bicker about the optics. But at the end of the day, if you look at it, they're doing the same stuff.
Yeah.
And they're not helping the working class. They're not helping regular people like you and I. They're fighting for their own interests, which is to enrich themselves and to keep their assets, and to, bolster their own self-interest. So we are the ones getting screwed, and they always paint it as red versus blue. What sucks is that before the TikTok ban, I was, going on TikTok and it was all about the ultra wealthy versus the poor. Like that was my algorithm. It was the drones, these conspiracies. What are these drones? These orbs. And it was like people having an awakening. And I was like, we are just being shafted by the ultra wealthy right now. Like this sucks. Like something has to be done about that. Then the whole Luigi thing happened. That's going to get a shadow ban. I'm kidding.
Well, I mean, the fact that people celebrated that too is crazy. Like I'm for it, dude. I think what that company was doing is fucking wrong.
I was with United Healthcare.
Yeah.
They denied my surgery.
The AI denied your surgery.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Bullshit. So, no offense, no love lost to those guys. We look at what happened with the French Revolution.
Take all the offense.
Yeah. When they look at what happened with the French Revolution, that's the problem with now. It's like there was that fear. It's like, well, we could just drag you out into the street and cut off your heads, because there's way more of us than there are of you.
Yeah.
The problem is that America looked at that and they're like, how do we make that not happen to us? Oh, well, we create a police force that only protects our interests. This whole protect and serve, like police officers, like they're all there to protect the rich's assets. You just saw there was like a Tesla dealership where people were protesting at one Tesla dealership. Then like 15 Tesla dealerships over across the United States had a full police force like out protecting them. And like, that's just goes to show you like what they're here for.
Yeah.
Like, they're not here to protect us. They're here to protect these wealthy assets and their interests. So they're not here to protect us. So that's like, you have drones that could, anybody like a Martin Luther King, that guy wouldn't survive nowadays. Like if any guy like that, they'd have a drone assassinate him in his sleep or some shit. Like,
oh, bro, the alternate history thing once again.
Yeah.
Have you looked into like the paper they released on Martin Luther King?
No,
dude. Apparently, this guy was a fucking bad dude.
Really?
Yeah, and like we just painted him in like the light over all these years. But yeah, he was like into like prostitutes and all kind of shit.
No, I mean, they say Jesus was a swindler too, and he hung out with Mary Magdalene. So
I'm okay with that too. But I mean,
not
like,
saying,
but why are we only taught one side? Is my whole question. Like, why were we never taught that? Yeah, he's just a regular fucking dude.
Yeah.
We're always taught that no, he was this great fucking man, and he probably did some cool shit. But I think a lot of times we just make a face for a movement.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't think any human is perfect. I don't think, you could dig up stuff on anybody that's ever been off as self-righteous. Like I just mentioned Jesus Christ, who was a gambler and did hang around with prostitutes. We don't know if he fornicated with them. There's no proof of that, but he found them troubled and, he wanted to help them. Not saying Jesus fucked prostitutes, but Mary Magdalene was one that was very prevalent in his life. So,
it'd be fine if he did. He could cure their diseases first.
Yeah, it's true. Like you are cured.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, so I don't think anyone is 100%. I think,
especially when they get into power positions.
Yeah.
Especially when it's an unregulated power position like Congress is. Congress, those people are fucking unregulated. We literally know how much money Nancy Pelosi makes on the market every year, and we can't do anything about it.
Yeah. Well, apparently it's not insider trading. Like, are you sure? Are you sure it's not insider trading?
Right.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. Because we would go to jail.
Absolutely.
Like we would have immediately be investigated.
Yeah. Well, there are people that are following her trades.
Yeah.
And literally making the same amount of money she's making. And the only reason they're not sending them to jail is because they're doing every move she makes.
Right. Yeah. So
I have a solution for you.
Go ahead.
Okay. So what I think we should do, and this is a solution that's simple enough where everyone in the U.S. can actually understand the solution and they can all participate. Because I think that's one of the things that we have to look at whenever we're designing a solution like this is there are different educational levels. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we need something that we all understand. So what we'll do is every time Congress goes to vote on something, it gets sent straight to your phone. An AI breaks it down. So AI takes it and scans it for legislation that shouldn't be in the bill, so hidden legislation. And it also breaks it down into layman's terms so that everyone can read it. And you basically get bullet points. Okay. And you simply swipe left or right. So we all know how to use dating apps, left or right. Okay. So then you get a chance to vote on the bills before they actually get voted on by Congress. So what this does is it doesn't actually do anything, but it sets a baseline for the way Congress should vote.
Right.
So if your congressman or woman votes opposite what the majority of their constituents wanted them to vote, you get a notification on your phone. Mm. And it basically says your politician did something, it's not working for you, essentially. Right. And it also keeps a report card for each politician so that next time an election comes around, you're not just guessing. It's not a popularity game.
Right.
You can actually see who's working for you and who's working against you.
Yeah. So I think there are problems with this, sadly.
Yeah.
It's the reason why we can't vote on our phones is that it could be manipulated.
Blockchain.
Well, you say blockchain, but that's a very loaded word now.
I got it. I've been designing this for years.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, put it on the blockchain, and put it in smart contracts.
Okay.
So if in smart contracts, the only person that can actually, or the only entities that can access the bills are the oracles.
Yeah.
And the oracles would be these AI bots that we programmed.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's great. I would love that. The problem is that doesn't help. That they don't want people knowing about everything they're doing.
They can't stop it.
Yeah. Well,
that's the beauty of the blockchain too. Once it's on there, it's running.
Well, they won't allow it to even get to that phase.
How? Unless they just murder me tomorrow.
Well, you know what, Kyle? I hope that doesn't happen. I really hope that doesn't happen.
I feel like I'm still flying under the radar over here.
Yeah. Like we're like, you know what? fuck this guy.
Fuck that guy, dude. He's out for us.
Yeah, well, then we'll definitely know some shit's up because they don't want that. They don't want people being more involved in the political process. They want us just sitting back, watching football, arguing with each other about God knows what while they do whatever they want,
Going to the Coliseum, baby.
Yeah. Give them food and spectacle and they'll never revolt. And that's the USA, baby. That is us right now. That is our country. We are very sedated and distracted.
But I think I think people notice that there's a problem. The solution's just unfathomable to most people.
Right.
Like
it almost seems like it's unfixable. The current system's unfixable.
But it is.
Well, you say it, and I hope you're right. I hope something like that could be implemented. I don't think they'd ever allow it to be implemented.
You ever just like knew that something was going to work?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
Like I come up with this idea probably, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago now. And I started pitching it to people and they were like, I fucking love it. But no one would touch it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think you need to bring that to somebody.
Well, no, I'm just waiting for AI to get to a point where I can say, hey, let's build this. And I think we're almost there.
I think, you might even be there now. Coding, in terms of coding, I think they say AI is like the 24th best coder in the world already.
So build it by myself, me and AI.
I think it's very possible. The problem is that, like I said, once they figure out what you're doing, they're going to try to stop it.
So you got to use the shock and awe technique.
Yeah, well, get it out there. This is a good step talking about it on this.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I started this podcast.
Right. Get it out into social media. Make sure, not just YouTube, but TikTok, Instagram, whatever all your socials are. And, make sure people are aware and they know your face, so, give them put that and be like, hey, this could be an option. And, then they'd want it,
Yeah, it's basically cutting lobbyists out of the equation.
Right. And they are just a scourge of the earth.
Man.
Lobbyists, man. I'm sick of, I wish lobbying were illegal because lobbyists do it to politicians.
It should be illegal. It makes no fucking sense.
Well, because they want to make money.
But they're paying for votes.
Yeah.
So and
it's supposed to be bribery, but it's technically not bribery. It's lobbying, which is completely
just
different.
the word, right?
Yeah. Well, companies can bribe, but individuals can't bribe.
So companies pay individuals lobby.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And that's where we're back to the loopholes.
The fucking loopholes, man.
It's bullshit. This is where the United States is now, which is so disappointing because I feel like we've just stagnated as a country in terms of our innovation. I still think the fact that we don't have universal healthcare, I think is just ridiculous. Other countries look at us, they're like, are you serious? Like, you have to pay. It's
also a money thing, right?
Yeah.
I've been seeing these TikToks and these Instagrams pop up. And these people, they'll call their insurance company and they're like, for instance, this guy, he had to send his daughter, he called the ambulance. They came and picked his daughter up, took her as an emergency issue. So they sent him a bill in the mail for $600. So he calls the hospital and he tells them, hey, I'm gonna put this on my insurance. Assuming that it would take it down, right? That's what insurance does, right?
Right. So
the guy sends him a bill back for $1,300. And he's like, hang on a second. I put this on my insurance. And he's like, yeah, well, we gave you the discount because we didn't think you had insurance the first time. And he's like, so if I have insurance, I'm paying more money.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy's like, yeah, it's how it works. Yeah. Because insurance companies they're gonna try
jack it up. Yeah.
Yeah. They're gonna try to like knock the price down as much as they can. So they jack the price up so they can work with insurance companies. It's fucking nuts, man.
So health, hospitals, they know insurance can pay. So they're going to jack up that price. And when you have to pay, they're not bringing it down. You have to pay that full sum that they expect $1 billion industry to be able to pay.
Yeah. The hospital guy was like, no, you have to pay $1,300 now.
Yeah.
It's not $600 anymore.
And that's what it's criminal. This is why that healthcare CEO got shot.
Yeah.
And then people celebrated it because they're like, fuck yeah, this is bullshit. And then out of nowhere, it was all over TikTok. And that was my algorithm. It was like the Luigi stuff.
Yeah, because they're making an example out of the guy now, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what they do.
And you won't hear a peep about him in the news. I saw something recently. They're like, oh, Luigi's surprising and shocking relation to Diddy. And it's like, apparently he had like a cousin that was like married to his niece or some shit. But like, they're trying to diddy him.
Yeah.
Like, they're trying to make him look so bad because, like, you know, people respected what he did. It was like, dude, you know, he knew he was going to get caught and he did it anyway, you know, but it was more about sending a message. And, you know, it's like, y'all think y'all are just so powerful, but y'all aren't that safe. And now that, and that was all over TikTok, but now that TikTok got bought, the second it came back, it was back to Republican versus Democrat. And it was like, and it's just exhausting. It's like, well, we're back to square one because we had this awakening that, like, man, the working class is just getting shafted from all directions by all these industries. And now they're like, no. Argue with each other. Argue with each other, not about us. Like, you don't argue about us.
It's because it didn't even change anything when they killed the guy. They still had because he was going that day to the board members were voting on something.
Right.
And even after the guy was fucking shot, the board members still voted on stuff. Because like these people are nothing.
Yeah.
Like, to a big corporation, you're just you're replaceable.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, that's literally what I'm saying is they're always trying to make profits go higher and higher.
Yeah.
So even with the using AI, like using AI to turn people down, which takes the human element out of it.
Yeah.
And the computer doesn't give a shit.
Right. Yeah. They're just trying to maximize profit. So
I think there's got to be like a way to take over without killing people. That's my goal. My goal is to find a solution where no one has to die.
well, in my opinion, in 2016, I think Bernie Sanders was that solution. I loved Bernie Sanders. I thought he was like a really good, genuine human being that wanted us to.
Yeah, but aren't they finding money that he took now?
No. So he got money from individuals that worked in healthcare, not lobbyists, low down people. And they're saying that he took millions of dollars from the healthcare industry, where it was just people that were working in healthcare that were like, yeah, we think this is screwed too. So that's what they donated to. But they're using it as a semantics kind of thing to get back at him, of course, because they're trying to obviously devalue all the work. You know, that guy has been trying to fight for working people for the longest time. And I don't blame you for bringing that up. I'm actually glad you brought it up because they're trying to find ways to make it seem like he's just another one. And he really isn't. He's been trying to get universal health care. He's been preaching about the middle class, even since like the 80s and 90s, withering away. He was trying to, and in 2016, the Democratic Party shafted the shit out of him and threw in Hillary, lost because they shafted him. Like, there's this huge movement going on, like understanding of like, we need change. Like, we need people, you know, we need the working class to thrive and rally around one another. And Bernie Sanders was that guy. And then all of a sudden, he loses to Hillary. Hillary loses, Trump becomes president. And then Biden becomes the throwaway, you know, whether you think the election was rigged or not. But they even predicted, or like, look, if Biden wins this election, like the recourse is going to be way worse. Like,
why didn't Bernie run again?
Oh, no, he did.
Oh, he did run when Biden was?
Yes. So I don't know if you remember, but, and I think they made it a point to try to get people to forget about this. Bernie Sanders was leading the polls in 2020. And there was Buttigieg, there was Warren, and there was another one, and then there was Biden. There was all these Democrats along with Bernie. Bernie was leading, and literally the day before the primaries, Buttigieg, Warren drop out. They immediately endorsed Biden because Bernie was going to win. So they realized, they were like, we got to protect our Democratic Party. What's our Democratic Party? Well,
because Bernie would have changed things.
Bernie would have gotten rid of the healthcare industry.
Yeah.
Like, he would have completely torn it down. He would have given us universal healthcare. It was like, that was their biggest fear.
That's why
their biggest donors, the Democratic parties.
Well, that's why I say that I think Trump's got an ace up his sleeve right now. Because I think the problem with Bernie is he put all of his cards on the table.
Yeah. And you know, as good as a human Bernie is, I think that's a detriment to him, man. He's not willing to play dirty. And this politics game is dirty.
Game, bro.
He just let the Democratic Party bend him over the table and fuck him. Like, literally.
I think he realized he didn't have any other cards. Like I said, he put all of his cards on the table and he realized that, well, there's really nothing I can do here.
Yeah.
I have to just sit here and take it.
Yeah.
But I think that's where
and then his movement just kind of rolled over and died. You know, once the Democratic Party shafted him, then it was like, oh, you have to support Biden because, like then you're just for Trump. Like, just because Bernie lost doesn't mean it's like, oh, fuck off. Like all of you, like he just got cheated. So your fucking old, literally dinosaur who can't even talk is going to get elected.
Well, that's another problem too, is all these people that we're voting for are old as shit.
Yeah.
Trump, Biden,
Right.
even Bernie.
Bernie's very old. But the problem is that there's no one young that is as sensible and as Bernie. And, so because everyone.
What do you mean? You don't think there's somebody out there that can do that job that's young?
I'm
has a sharp
sure.
mind?
I'm sure there is. But
There's
the
gotta be
problem is
somebody.
that.
They're just not in politics, because the only people that go for politics are people that want money and power.
Exactly.
There's somebody out there that's leading his community right now, doing awesome things.
Yeah.
And that's the person that should be the president, because they're going to do what's right for the people.
Yeah. Yeah. And the people who don't want power are the best to have it, right? That's what they say.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
Like, how do you find those people?
well, they're hiding away. Bernie got into politics at a time where I think it was probably less complex. Now it's a little bit of what you just said. Like, everyone who wants to get in politics knows what they're getting into, and it's not to be a good person.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm sure there are plenty of good people that are trying to get into politics to change things, but they're not getting donors. They're not getting money. They're not getting donations. They can't run a sustainable
Election.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like,
Have
they can't.
you ever heard of boy state?
I have not.
Okay. Boy state and girl state. You go when you're in the 11th grade. And what they do, I think they hold one for every state. I know they hold one for Arkansas because I went to it in Arkansas.
Mm.
But they take the top 4 boys from your class in your 11th grade year, and they do it for every school, every high school in the state. And they send you all we went to Conway, University of Conway, UCA. And you basically go and you simulate government. You simulate the state government in Conway, Arkansas. And I think that's how they're actually picking politicians, because they're finding people that they can take and go, okay, let's put you in this spot and we're going to mold you for this, like this simulation of government.
Yeah.
And you're intelligent because they're taking the top 4 people from every school. Like me, I had no fucking interest in any of that, but it's kind of cool that I actually got to see the behind the scenes.
Right. Yeah. And do you think those people were good for the job? Do you think they should be in government, whether local or?
Why? I think that's just a grooming process. Like, I don't think they even knew what they were doing. I think we were all just there simulating government. But I literally think there were people there watching everything we were doing and just trying to find the right person to take and go, okay, we're going to take this guy, and this guy's going to be the next, legislature for this place or whatever. Because
they do recruit politicians, right?
Yeah.
Like, they come to your door, they're like, we think you should run for mayor, blah, blah, blah. It's because they think that you can identify and you're a good face for their brand. Like, these parties are brands, the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, one of our politicians, I don't want to speak his name. He's the one that was call a crackhead. Like, he doesn't even talk like that. He doesn't even have a redneck accent.
Oh, really?
No.
I know you're talking about the Kerry guy. What's his name?
Yeah.
It's the
it's
Kennedy guy. Yeah. He actually, whenever the THC thing was going down, I emailed him and he actually emailed me back, which probably his assistant emailed me back, but
right. Yeah.
Yeah. I was kind of telling him my 2 cents on the THC thing.
Yeah. Well, good. I mean, that's good that you're voicing your concerns, but yeah, apparently he just wants to identify more with his base.
He's got to speak that way. There's no way.
Apparently there's videos of him from the past of where he does not have.
God, what a horrible accent he's got too.
He does not. Apparently, like, he's a very smart person, but he knows who he's appealing to. He's appealing to blue collar people that really don't know any better, and he wants to identify with them. It's all branding. It's all a show. It's all a show.
Even the email he sent me back about the THC thing, it was just a branding thing.
Yeah.
He's like, we got to do what's right for the families.
Yeah.
It's all about the kids and the families.
By the way, you can go buy a vape at a tobacco vape at the grocery store across the street for like $5, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, I just told him, I said, I've been seeing people get off alcohol.
Yeah.
Like, people are getting off alcohol for these THC.
I stopped drinking when, THC started becoming.
Same here. And my body, it feels so much better.
Well, that's bad because there's also alcohol lobbyists that want to.
Oh yeah. Well, dude, they lost so much money this past year.
Yeah. I mean, you see all these distilleries, wineries, breweries, microbreweries all closing down. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think there's other vices out there now. There are people that are a little less destructive, hanging out at your house, eating an edible gummy, watching a movie, like, which sometimes I do. I don't do it all the time anymore. I used to, but every now and then I'll take an edible gummy and just hang out and watch a movie. And when you think about the comparison, going to a bar, having a beer with people around you, maybe you have 2 or 3, and then you stumble home drunk, you're driving, it's a little bit more destructive.
Yeah, but even for your body.
Yes, absolutely. It hurts
the effects
way
that alcohol
more.
has on your body is so much worse than THC.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's, there are reasons why they don't want, there's a reason why marijuana is not federally legal yet, as it should be. I mean, states are making money off of it. I think Louisiana made the least amount of money off of it, mainly because we're not taxing it properly. Like we made like, I thought it was like $5 million. Like, isn't that such a low number?
Yeah, it's a very low number for the amount that we sell.
Yeah, like that's
actually, they tax us extra on THC too.
Yeah,
it's a 3% extra tax.
So there's something we're not doing right. Like there's something we really messed up.
Well, dude, the money's going in people's pockets. That's where we're at right now. Because I don't know if we talked about it the other night when we were at the bar, but the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
the rehousing of the homeless people for the Super Bowl.
Right.
Dude, I've been telling everyone this. I'm just eating this up right now. 170 people rehoused for 2 months. Do you know how much we spent on that?
How much?
$17 million.
How is that possible? That's $1 million per person,
dude,
right?
Yeah, it's 170 people, $17 million. Insane. So I mean, you could have taken that money and you could have built a tiny home community, got these people jobs.
Yeah.
And fucking even sent the ones to rehab that need to go to rehab. You could have actually set these people up. But no, we somehow funneled $17 million to rehouse 170 people for 2 months in a warehouse.
How is that even possible, man?
This is where the tax dollars and stuff are going now. They're just being funneled into someone's pocket.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Louisiana is last in almost everything, right?
Probably.
We're a tourist state, and that's essentially all we have. We have some oil, but there's nothing, like, we're just all out of sorts. We don't have anything right. We're not well run. We don't have all this. There's nothing to bring us into the new age.
There's a lot of people running for mayor this time. Do you think they're gonna get it? I saw today, Josh Starkman.
Well, I'll look into it.
Well, dude, Josh Starkman's a musician from the city, and I'm not sure if he's actually going to run.
Right.
But he's already created a Instagram page, Starkman for mayor, and he was posting about it today, which that would be fucking hilarious if if he actually tried this. But yeah, there's some new people that are running. Whether or not they actually evoke change,
right?
Who knows?
Well, I mean, do you want another career politician, or do you want somebody who looks around and is like, this sucks, I guess I'll do it?
Yeah, I want somebody to fucking shake it up, dude.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of like Trump being in there.
Yeah.
Like,
well, as long as it doesn't get us all killed and ruin all of our foreign relations, I'm all about it. Like, I appreciate I know Doge has found a lot of waste, which I think is great. Yeah. I think that's fantastic. Like,
the only one that I'm kind of skeptical of that he put in was that Dan guy, the podcast guy.
Yeah, into the CIA.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
That is weird. Well, he just wants yes men, I think.
And I fucking hate that guy too. I watched his podcast a few times and I'm like, all this dude does is fucking yell and tell me that I'm stupid.
He's like a red pill dude.
That's all he's doing is telling everybody on the fucking internet, you're fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And it's like what? Like how, this is not. It's weird that he put him in, but maybe he'll do something. I don't know.
No, well, so I'm glad that Doge is reducing waste. The problem with that is that I have no confidence. Unfortunately, that all that money saved is going to go to something that's actually worthwhile to us. They say that it is, but I just have no confidence.
Why do you think that?
Well,
because Musk has no use for the money,
and yet he gets $8 million a day from the government.
But for what?
For SpaceX.
Well, yeah, but that's for his companies.
Yeah, but I think they're trying to find money for something else. I just have no confidence. I know they're trying to pay off their debts to China, and then France comes out and they're like, "Oh, by the way, since
you owe us money too,
you owe us money
God
because that money we gave you for the U.S. Revolution, That was a loan. That was forgotten over time, but that was a loan. And
Tariff.
yeah,
Hit
like
with a fucking tariff.
yeah, see, like, so we're kind of like, yeah, I think there are some things that are good. I think he's shaking it up internationally a little too much.
Okay.
To where it's a little, he's getting all of our former allies. We're talking about hundreds of years of diplomacy thrown down the drain just to get his way, to save America some money. And
Like,
you know,
what do you mean? Who?
well, he doesn't want to have to. America is the one that pays for a lot of the world's defense. America has kept Russia at bay for a very long time.
But that's a problem, right?
Yeah, well, that's
why we're in such debt.
Yeah, true.
So the fact that they're now coming at us and going, here's the fucking bill, you know? I get China doing it, but because we're kind of an enemy with those guys, but fucking France?
Well, and we don't want a war with China. We do not want a war with China. That would be, you and I would be getting enlisted, bud. China has, their military is less funded than us, but they have triple our bodies.
Yeah.
You know, and
they're actually in shape.
Yeah.
I'm not in shape.
Yeah, me neither. God. Actually, like it would be a huge fumble by the United States government, the United States
put me
military.
And you in there.
Yeah. They'd be like, these fat fucking slobs. There's just meat pies walking around with rifles and shit.
Big targets.
Yeah, exactly. Like slow fucking, terrible. Like, where are my CBD gummies? Like, we are so Americanized now. It would be terrible. Like, we're talking about, you know, and this was going on when TikTok was blacking out. People went all to Red Note, and I didn't join Red Note, but I got a lot of that feed, and I think China's a really neat place. I think it's a beautiful country. I think
they're doing some cool stuff too.
I think they're way ahead of us in terms of technology. Like, you look at a Chinese
infrastructure wise, they're doing some awesome stuff.
Yeah, you look at their cities, and you're like, holy fucking shit. You know, when you want to show United States as like this technological marvel, and especially I'm going back to Marvel movies, right? When Captain America wakes up in the first Captain America movie, he wakes up in the future. He's in a fake hospital room that's supposed to look like it's from the 1940s. He breaks out, he runs out into Times fucking Square in New York City, as if that's where they're housing their fake hospital, like in Times fucking Square. Because that's the only place that looks like it could be the future. Everywhere else looks very old and dated, old infrastructure. You go to China, it's like their cities are massive, like literally massive. And all the buildings look like Times Square. All the buildings have all this very fancy like lighting, holograms, like it's not even, they don't even have advertisements on it. It's just a beautiful imagery and art. And it's like, I don't know. And they have very simple lives, you know. They work one job. I think I read the average salary for someone in China was like $60,000 a year, but their cost of living is way lower than ours. And when they pay off their property, they keep it forever. They don't have property taxes. They pay off their property. It's theirs forever. They could lose their job, and they'd still have free healthcare, and they'd still have their home. Like
they have free healthcare in China?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, they have of course they have universal healthcare. You know, so, and you know what? And people complain about China all the time, and I had to argue with my friends about this. They're like, well, you know, they're communists, and it's like, well, yes, they are communists. That is true. But something that they did right, and I think they reined in all their billionaires, all of their billionaire corporations. They're like, just remember who you work for. Like, you're part of China. Like, we could seize all your assets at any time.
That's true. Jack Ma, dude. They had him.
Exactly. Yeah. And they brought up Jack. Like, my friend was like, well, look what happened to Jack Ma. I was like, well, the billionaires pay the majority of the taxes in China. Like the companies, the corporations. Yeah, exactly. I think that's great. Yeah. Like, why are we paying more percentage of our income than like
Amazon
billionaires? Yeah. And like corporations. Like, I think they got their $1 billion corporations and their oligarchs on a leash in China, and they're the ones paying the bill. Whereas here, they're kind of holding the leash to like our government. Like, our government's on the leash to the billionaires.
Right.
So it's completely opposite spectrum. and we're told that we're supposed to hate them. We're supposed to hate this, and like they seemed pretty chill. They didn't seem like they had any quarrel, like at least the common people, right? They'd be making TikToks and they're like, look, I traveled to the United States. Like I like the United States. I don't know why we have to hate each other, and like there was this awakening that I was like, man, we're not so different. What is different is that we're getting shafted, like, and we're told to hate y'all because y'all are communists. And it's like, y'all's lives seem pretty nice and their groceries are cheap. Their food looks very pristine, very clean. Their cities are clean. I mean, obviously there are some parts I'm sure that are like slums, much like every other civilized nation in the world, right? You'll find, very dirty parts, and, you could look at New Orleans and it's like, pretty much all of it's dirty. So,
but I mean, the way that they're building housing units and the way they're putting roads together, like they'll put a massive interstate together in a day.
Yeah.
Like that's just because they're running like a fucking well-oiled machine.
Incredibly efficient.
Where here we have dilapidated buildings that we could be revamping for the homeless population, but it's like for some reason we're not doing it.
Well, because it doesn't make anyone richer.
Right.
In China, it's more about they just want everyone, their well-being, I guess. Like, and I'm not saying that's true. That's what I perceive. It's like, and yeah, you could say this is what TikTok wanted you to see, which is very possible. But, they, and China even came out, they were like, what do you think about, what, these new tariffs and like, or this trade war? And China was like, and the spokesman, he was like, we're not worried about you. China's worried about China. China wants to make China better.
I like that.
Like, do not care. We've never cared about, if y'all want a trade war, we'll do any kind of war you want. We don't care, but we're just worried about us. China wants to make China better.
Yeah. That's how they're going to be the top fucking power.
I think they are, man. I don't think it's even close right now. And I think that's what they don't want us seeing on social media. That's why like all that got censored. I don't see any of that anymore. They don't want us looking at China. They want us looking at right here. They want us to think we're the best of everything. We're told we got the best of everything. And yet
not even, dude. I spoke to a guy from, he immigrated here from Berlin. He was there when the wall fell. And
wow.
I was basically saying, yeah, dude, like, how do you like moving to a first world country? And he looked at me and went, first world country?
Yeah.
He's
what
like,
a joke.
Maybe back in the day you were a first world country, but not anymore. You see those potholes out there?
Right.
That's how you know you're not a first world country. And I'm like, God damn it. It's like, it all just fucking came raining down on me.
Dude, it is the truth, man. They want us like, we're brainwashed into thinking that we're just the best at everything. Mm-hmm. We got the best healthcare. We got the best jobs. You get the best groceries. You get the best pay for your work. And it's just a lie. Like you look elsewhere, like people are compensated better. They're happier. They're not as overworked. And we're just sold a lie.
It's all just propaganda, baby.
It is propaganda. And we live just in a capitalistic hellscape. And what I mean by that is like, I think I saw someone say, and I think it's beautiful. He's like, man, here in the USA, life is just a fucking commercial. Like we're just in one big fucking commercial. Like that's what the USA is like, advertisements. Like you're like, look how good life is. And it's like, it's just fake. It's not real. It's like we're actually, we've already fallen behind. We're not falling behind. We have actually fallen behind.
Oh yeah.
And they don't want us looking elsewhere. And, I think there is a superiority complex or inferiority complex rather with China now. Trump comes in, he sees that we owe all this money to China, and China is a beautiful country, technologically advanced. They're way ahead of us. They really are. And now it's like time to flip tables because we're so far behind. And like I said, I don't know if it's going to be enough to fix it, but we're also pissing off all of our allies. So that's probably going to make it harder down the road. But we don't want a war with China. We don't, because it won't.
China nor well. Russia. Like we're the three that we kind of want to like, and then keep Korea, like, keep an eye on them too.
Right. Yeah.
Because, they're fucking crazy over there.
Yeah. My God.
Yeah. We're in such a weird place in the world right now. Yeah. I'm going to shift gears real quick.
Of course. Yeah.
I'm going to go back to your channel.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the videos that I watched, and we kind of touched on this earlier with the entities that are coming out of the portals. Mm-hmm. But do you think that the Miami incident
Oh yeah, dude.
What are some of these entities?
Oh, so all right. I've got a.
And
we're going back
could you
to very.
explain what the Miami incident is?
So the Miami incident. So brief summarization of my channel. If you have not, when I first started YouTube, I created an email address for people to send me stories that were either true or fake. I never knew which one, but I wanted to tell them anyway. Obviously, being a small YouTuber, I got no stories. My first, I think, 3 scare mails that I made, I just wrote myself. So those were fake. But there was one story that was real that I actually got. It was the Miami Mall email. And I was like, actually like beside myself. I was like, this is so cool, but it was also terrifying because what if this is actually real? Yeah. Anyways, I told the story. So the Miami Mall incident happened a couple years ago on New Year's Day or on New Year's Eve, I think it was. Apparently a portal opened and a bunch of shadow aliens emerged from this portal and ran through the mall, but they were like confused. Witnesses were saying like the aliens were like, what the fuck? Did I just take a left turn into a different dimension or something? But like they were so big and they looked so different that it literally horrified everybody that looked at them. And everyone started running. A giant panic happened. Huge hysteria. Cops were called. A giant line of police lined outside the mall, creating a barricade. Didn't know what they were dealing with. People were fleeing, running from the mall.
They were deleting the footage off people's phones, weren't they? When the cops there for that?
So that's why in the story that I covered, the guy said he was running at cops, but the cops were trying to stop them. Like, stop. Come here. But they were like, his name was Jay. I hope you're all right, Jay. I haven't heard from him in a while because I wanted to do a follow-up episode, but I've never, and it could have been a fake story. I don't know, but it was a real event, but it could have been a fake story. That's also a possibility.
Oh, I remember when it was on the social medias and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Jay, I hope you're alive, man. Please get back to me. So I want to do a follow-up episode because that would be really cool.
We're gonna get him here on the podcast.
That would be dope, but I don't think he wants to show his face if he is a real person, that is. So he ran away from that. He went back to his hotel room, flew out the next day, almost went on the news the next couple of weeks. And then he got a call from a random number saying to not do it, which is just so bizarre to me. That's what, people, commenters are like, oh, that has to be the fake part. And I'm like, I actually kind of think that makes it more real because I've seen when I've looked into all these, the UFO stuff, the alien stuff, the interdimensional beings, that's what blew up my channel. That's what people want to look into more. So that's naturally, I'm going to give my audience what it wants and I'm going to look into that. And that's what made me start looking into all these mysterious alien. And I always had a curiosity. I think my very first scare mail that I wrote was an alien story. Right. So, and then it was like, murder mystery and stuff, or like being stalked. But people really like the alien stuff. So I kind of leaned into more of that. Want to read into more abductions, and it was kind of terrifying, like looking at it's like the fact that this could be real is kind of scary, that we're not in charge here, that there's like something else that's just kind of monitoring us and we can't do anything about it.
Well, I mean, first of all, the government is definitely monitoring us. So, I mean, it makes sense that that someone would be watching over Jay. If that's the name. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a commercial a few years ago, and it was for Lamar Advertising, and we signed NDAs out the ass.
Mm-hmm.
So fuck you guys, come and get me.
Mm-hmm.
But it was for a new technology they were putting in cars, is smart vehicles. So smart vehicles, when they drive around town, they'll notice where your pathway is because you typically take the same route every time you go somewhere. Yeah. And if you're going by digital billboards, they'll track where you're going by, and they'll put ads on that you're looking at.
Oh my God.
So that was like 5 years ago that we did this thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're being tracked everywhere you go. So it makes sense that they're going to know right where Jay's at, and they're probably going to be tracking his movements and his phone and everything.
Yeah.
So yes, you are being monitored by at least one evil entity.
Yeah.
But yes, the fact that there are dark, shadowy figures that are just popping up, that would change you forever, dude.
I think so.
How would you even sleep after that?
I would have trouble. I think, we're told that like aliens from outer space, like that was always like the thing. That was always the mindset. It turns out it might be way deeper than that. Turns out some of them have lived here longer than us, or at least potentially. They come from different dimensions.
What if they're here right now? We just can't see them because they're like shifted into another dimension, right?
Exactly. Like they're right in front of us. Like just like
they're waving their dicks in front of our face right now.
That would be something.
That's what I'd do if I was one of those guys.
Yeah. Should we just wave our dicks around? Like, because
I mean, if I was just sitting here and there were people doing a podcast, I'd just be waving my dick in front of them. Fucking idiots.
Yeah, but maybe, how do they see us if we can't see them? Or maybe do they have something figured out that we don't?
Well, so it's like if you're looking at a 2-dimensional piece of paper,
right?
Like you can see the 2-dimensional piece of paper, or you can see the image on it, but it can't look up and see you.
Yeah,
because you're like in a totally different dimension that's outside of its awareness.
Right.
So if they're in like I would say the 5th dimension, because the 4th dimension is what we actually move through, which is
we're in
time.
a box. Yeah.
Yeah. So we move through time. So if this entity's in the 5th dimension, they're above time.
Right.
So I mean, they would just be outside of it looking at us. But I mean, they could just be shifted in a different hue that we can't see. Because we can only see like a sliver of the EM spectrum.
Yeah. So there's like, and this is going to be in my next scare mail, by the way. You know, there's these interdimensional beings, and then there's the physical, the space aliens, or at least we perceive space. And, you know, do they come from space? Like, I think that's a question that we need to answer. And, you know, like working in film, we worked on these incredible sets, right? Like we could probably build a panel for panel set of this bar.
Absolutely.
Like it would look exactly the same. And you step outside and then you see all the framework, you see you're just in a studio, right? We look out into space and we see all these stars, we see all these planets. We're like, we're going to go there and we're going to try to learn more about everything. And if we could talk to aliens, the aliens would be like, why do you want to go there? It is a set. You're so focused on the idea of a set that you forget that you're in a show because you're on a set, right? Like, we don't come from out there. Like, we've been here longer than you. That's what I'm curious about the moon, because the moon, they see a lot of things. They see things here, like in our mountain ranges. I think there's a lot we don't know, man. And looking into it, these abductions, I think some people are faking it. I don't believe every story I cover. I think some people are telling the truth because they ruin their lives doing it. They tell these stories and then they're
Bob Lazar, dude.
Yeah. Well, I think he's okay. He's done pretty okay.
He was like, he's slandered for like saying all this stuff.
True.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I'm sure everyone knows who Bob Lazar is now, but if you don't know him, he was supposedly working on an alien spacecraft. It's like the 60s maybe or 70s.
Yeah.
And he was like literally physically working on this thing. And then he came out and started kind of exposing little by little what he'd been working on. And everyone was like, oh, whatever, you know. I think his wife divorced him or some shit. There was like a big like marital thing that happened.
Yeah.
But people were saying that it was just him, you know, taking his emotions out and stuff, all this stuff. But anyway, he's been on Rogan's podcast now. He's been on like a bunch of podcasts, and his story never changes. Right. And one of the elements that he was talking about back in the 60s, we now know exists.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's a very intelligent dude. You know, you listen to, I don't think he's lying.
One of the things
he definitely worked on reverse engineered technology. And does this mean, if we do believe him, because I believe he's telling the truth, are we sitting on reverse engineered technology and doing nothing with it? Like, is that really true? Like, are we really doing nothing with it? That's why I'm pissed off that we're flying planes built from the 70s. Like,
yeah, no, it's wild if we're actually doing that.
Yeah.
But another thing about Bob Lazar, and this kind of ties into the CERN thing as well, was one of the things Bob Lazar said when he was looking at a manual was that the manual said that humans are vessels.
Yeah.
And he said, he said he doesn't know what the vessel's for, but he said, don't damage the vessels.
Right.
So, you know, you're a vessel for storing something. He said, it didn't say what it was, but if you're talking about CERN and these entities that are coming through, what if they're coming through and like taking over
the bodies?
Yeah.
Whoa. That is crazy. Like that. I mean, that's interesting to think, like, they take over our body.
Because that's also what I think about these orbs.
Right.
So like if you
they're linked to consciousness. There is something about them.
So if you can actually take the human body and you kind of look inside of it and you say, okay, well, there's electricity inside of this. That's what's moving my body right now, is these electrical signals that are moving through the body. So if you could take that electrical signal and ball it up and get it into a tight ball and then slip out of the body, then you're technically an orb flying out of the body.
Oh, dude, I forgot to tell you about this. I believe I saw a UFO recently.
What did it look like?
It was an orange orb, but it was really high up in the sky, dude. It was like really high.
Did you see me wave at you?
Oh yeah.
Hey.
I think you joke, but I swear to God, dude. So what happened? Let me tell this. Cause I'm always looking up in the sky. Ever since I started Scare Mail, I'm like, I need to start looking up more, especially in the night sky. Like I need, how do I ever expect to see something if I'm never outside looking up in the sky? And the stars are always out all the time, sometimes here, especially in this time of year. And, but my girlfriend was out, she was working. So I was at home by myself. I ordered a pizza and, this was during before Endymion. So I think it was like the Wednesday.
Very recent then.
Yeah. So we had like my landlord put up this like metal fence around our yard. And I just remembered about it. I was like, I had the guy come to deliver to my door, but we have the fence up. So I was like, I'm just going to go outside and wait for him and I'll walk out to his car. Easy peasy. So I go sit down on the steps, 7:22. It's supposed to be delivered at 7:23. It gets pushed back to 7:25, whatever. So I'm just looking up in the sky. Lights are all off. Like it's dead, like the mid city where I'm in is very quiet. It's a different part of town. So I get to see the stars quite well. And I'm always looking for something like, if I see something, I'm like, does it have flashing lights? Because that's when I know if it's an airplane or not. Right. FAA lights, red and green. And I usually see airplanes, obviously, because we have an airport not too far, and I grew up next to an airport in Destran, so I know what planes look like all the time. Anyways, I'm looking up in the sky. I'm always trying to see something abnormal. If anything's moving, but nothing was moving until I see this green or this orange dot just booking it across the sky. Like it was going fast. And I was like, that's not a plane. And I looked at it a little longer and I was like, this can't be, it has to be the International Space Station or something. Cause it's really high up. It's really bright. And it's moving fast. Like it's definitely, if it were that high up for a plane, like it would be booking it. And then as it's moving across my eye line, like a giant flash, like of energy, like a almost like a star bursting or something like that, like a flash of light. And then it was gone. And I was like, my jaw dropped to the ground because then I realized I was like, I actually just saw something like that was real. I just saw something like, I think they know when we're curious about them. I was just reading about something that was like, people are summoning, like they're summoning these orbs, like with their conscious, like
I've seen that.
Yeah. So
they'll go out and like meditate on it.
Right. Yeah. Like I think there's something connected, like consciousness wise. Like I think they know when we're curious about them. And I think they're willing to show us a little more if we're open-minded to it.
We should go out one night and try that.
Hell yeah, dude. We should like go out and meditate and try to see if we can summon
rooftop
one.
access. The place I live has a roof on it.
Let's do it.
We should go up there and grab some drinks.
Is there any good like light atmosphere? Is there light pollution in your area? You got to see those stars well.
It's uptown, but I mean, if we,
I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah. You can use an awesome view of the Superdome. I know that.
Oh, fuck yeah, that's dope.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude.
It'd be cool. It'd be cool to actually see something like that. I've had some experiences.
Because we had just talked about, and like, I just never thought it would ever happen. Like I would get, because I look into all these stories. I'm like, man, all these people get to see all this cool stuff and I never get to see. And I think that flash of light, I don't know if they were like,
you sure it wasn't a firework exploding?
No, dude. No, dude. It was like, it gave me goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it right now. Shit. It was literally like a religious, it was like, it like confirmed my belief. I was like, it's real. Like I look into these stories and you just never know. God, I don't know, man. I don't know if it was like flashing out of existence or if it was just waving high. I was like, yep, what you're seeing is legit. See you later.
Confirmation.
Literally like that flash of light. Cause otherwise I went and looked up. I was like, was this the International Space Station? Like, cause that's what I thought it was. I was like, that thing's moving so fast. Like it has to be the space station. There's no way. But it was orange. The space station is usually white. So it was that flash of light. I don't know if it was like I said, blipping to somewhere else, taking off. Um, but it looked like a flash of light, like almost like someone was taking a picture from the atmosphere. It was so high up. That's what I'm saying. Like it was really high up. And this orb had to have been really large, but that flash of light, I think, was like a confirmation that it was like, yep, what you're seeing is legit. See you later.
I want to see that so bad.
I know. And I wish I would have taken a video, man, because now I'm looking up all the time. I'm like, is that it? Is that it? And like, I just don't know. Like,
so I never get the people that get videos of this shit.
well, it happened so quick. Quick. It was literally like 7 seconds and then it was over. And I was just trying to, I think by the time I would have got my phone out and got my camera set up.
Yeah. You don't want to miss it.
I would have missed it. Like, and even my friend Joe was making a joke about it. He was here. He was like, he's like, dude, all right, well, let me test it right now. Count 6 seconds. I'm going to pull up my phone and I'm going to point at the sky. And he couldn't even get past his fucking, like, his face, like unlocking his phone for him. Like he was like, okay, well, I lost. I get it. So, we're always critical. It's like, why didn't you film this? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, I was just dumbfounded by it. I was like, I wanted to confirm what I was seeing. I was like, is this legit? And then that flash happened and then it was over. It was like 6 to 7 seconds.
I feel like that's how you know it's real right there. Whenever you were so shocked by it that you couldn't even pull your phone out to get it.
No, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't even think to. I was just really, I was like, is this legit? Like, I didn't want to pull up my phone and miss it because that flash at the end, I would have missed that flash at the end. And that was like a wink or something. It was like a confirmation that
we're definitely going to get together and try to summon one of these things. Cause
I think we can
one now.
I think it's possible. I think if they understand that you're more open to it and you're curious, they're going to indulge you a little bit.
Absolutely, dude. I fucking want to see him. I've had some weird experiences too. I was telling you about him at the bar the other night.
Yeah.
I mean, and every time that I've had one of these crazy fucking experiences, it's changed my life.
Yeah.
Because it's expanded my mind.
Right. I think
you watch these videos all the time, even in your channel. Like you watch your videos and you're like, oh, that's cool. It's a cool video. Really cool video.
Yeah.
But when you actually see it for yourself, it's like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
Shit.
It literally like, it gives me goosebumps.
Yeah. It's like, this is a real fucking thing.
Because it makes it real.
Yeah.
Anyone can just read a story online, and make videos about what they said or what they experienced, but seeing it for real, it's really like, it's like, wow, like there really is some shit that's up right now. Like something's amiss. Like something's happening right now. Like we're in an awakening moment where I think they're trying to communicate with us. And I think there's maybe an attempt by the government to stop it. That's why maybe all these drones are out to like ward them away, like as their like defense. Like there's so many orbs right now. I think they're trying to tell us something. And, I can't even find it on my phone anymore. Like on TikTok, like I said, I don't get any drone stuff or orb stuff anymore. And I think there's like a movement right now for us to forget about it, to think that there could be something higher with our consciousness, that, we are like radios and we're only tuned to one station our entire existence. And maybe we can tune it to something different and experience something new. That's why like mushrooms are very interesting. And like we said, like that time I did DMT, like things happen when you experience new things. And that's just really, really eye-opening.
Yeah. I love things that expand your mind. So any final words you want to say to the people?
Scare Mail channel on YouTube. Check it out. I work a job, so I try to post as often as I can, but I'm working on a new video that's even wilder. We talked about some of it with CERN and with Robert Dean, some of the things he claimed back in the 90s about reports from the 1960s about us currently potentially being an experiment or an assessment for other alien civilizations. So that's pretty crazy, right?
I'll be looking forward to that one coming out.
Yeah. So lots of things to consider. It's a little bit, like I said, it's crazy. I say it's crazy, and I look into all these things and look, I don't believe all these things, and maybe you shouldn't either. But I think we need to start having an open mind, because I'm starting experiencing things in my life that are a little, I would say past the point of coincidence. I think the more curious we get, the more the universe is starting to drop hints for us that it's like, keep digging, like you're going to get there. So I think we all need to keep digging. So
absolutely. Well, man, I've been watching your videos. I'm so glad you got to come on the podcast.
Oh yeah. What a fun time. What a great time. Thank you for having me on. Absolutely. I appreciate it.
Videos are awesome. I'll be looking forward to the next one that comes out. Andrew, thank you for coming on the channel today.
Hell yeah. Thank you, Kyle, for having me. I love Another Bar. I'll definitely be here later. You should check it out if you are in the New Orleans area. Come and have a drink. Best mojitos in New Orleans, by the way. Definitely a thing. Amazing. One of my favorite drinks. So
thank you, brother.
Hell yeah.